The Real Wolverine, a size comparison between movie and comic versions. Hey there, fellow Marvel fans. Welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into one of the most fascinating topics in comic book lore. We're talking about the one and only Wolverine. Wolverine is undeniably one of the most iconic characters in the Marvel Universe. From his first appearance in the comics to his portrayal on the big screen, he's captured the hearts and minds of fans all over the world. But have you ever wondered how the Wolverine from the comics stacks up against the Wolverine we see in the movies? Specifically, have you noticed any size differences? In today's video, we're going to explore the real Wolverine, comparing his height and build in the comics versus the movies. We'll delve into why these differences exist and what impact they've had on the character's portrayal and popularity. Whether you're a longtime comic book reader or you were introduced to Wolverine through the films, this is a topic that's sure to pique your interest. So stick around as we slice through the layers of this intriguing comparison. Let's get started. Wolverine in the comics. First up, let's talk about Wolverine as he was originally conceived in the Marvel Comics. If you flip through the pages of the X-Men comics, you might have noticed that Wolverine isn't exactly the tallest guy in the room. In fact, he's officially listed as standing at just 5 feet 3 inches tall. That's about 160 centimeters for those using the metric system. That's right. Our clawed mutant hero is actually quite short, especially when compared to his towering teammates like Cyclops or Colossus. But don't let his height fool you. Wolverine is built like a tank, stocky, muscular, and absolutely formidable. His compact frame is packed with adamantium-laced muscle, making him a force to be reckoned with. His physical appearance in the comics is distinctive. He's often depicted with wild, dark hair that sometimes resembles, well, the wings of a wolverine. His sideburns are legendary, and his piercing eyes often hint at the feral nature within. And let's not forget his classic yellow and blue costume, complete with the mask and those pointy ear-like extensions. So how does his shorter stature affect his character? Well, it's a significant part of who he is. Wolverine's height contributes to his fiery personality. He's gruff, he's tough, and he often carries a bit of a Napoleon complex. He's quick to prove himself, never backing down from a fight, no matter how big the opponent. His interactions with other characters often highlight this. For example, his banter with taller characters like Cyclops can sometimes reflect a playful jab at his own height. Yet, despite any challenges his size might present, Wolverine's confidence and sheer determination often turn the tables in his favor. There are numerous storylines in the comics where his size is emphasized. In fights, he often uses his lower center of gravity to his advantage, taking down larger foes with agility and brute strength. His size also makes him more relatable. He's not the stereotypical tall, chiseled superhero, but rather a more grounded, gritty character. Check out some iconic comic panels where his short stature is clear, yet he stands tall in presence and power. These visuals reinforce that Wolverine's impact isn't measured in feet and inches, but in his indomitable spirit and relentless ferocity. In essence, the comic version of Wolverine is a compact powerhouse, a small package delivering a massive punch. His size is an integral part of his identity, influencing his personality, fighting style, and relationships with other characters. Wolverine in the movies. Now, let's shift our focus to Wolverine as portrayed in the blockbuster X-Men movies. When the first film was released in 2000, fans were introduced to Hugh Jackman, a tall, dark, and undeniably handsome actor stepping into Wolverine's boots. But here's the catch. Hugh Jackman stands at an impressive 6 feet 2 inches tall, or about 188 centimeters. That's nearly a full foot taller than the comic book Wolverine. So how did this towering Australian become the face of our favorite short, gruff mutant? In the movies, Wolverine's appearance underwent some changes. While the wild hair and sideburns remained, the costume was modernized. Gone were the vibrant yellow and blue spandex suits. Instead, we got a more subdued and tactical look, leather outfits that fit the darker, more realistic tone of the films. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is lean and muscular, with a physique that's more in line with the traditional Hollywood leading man. His height gives him a more imposing presence on screen, especially during action sequences. But why the change? Well, adapting a comic book character to film often requires adjustments. The filmmakers aimed to create a Wolverine that would appeal to a broad audience. A taller actor fits the conventional image of a superhero in cinema. Despite the height difference, Jackman's portrayal was incredibly well received. He brought depth to the character, balancing Wolverine's fierce aggression with moments of vulnerability and charm. His performance resonated with audiences worldwide, elevating Wolverine's popularity to new heights. Over the years, Jackman reprised his role multiple times, becoming synonymous with Wolverine. His dedication to the character, including intense physical training and embodying Wolverine's complex personality, earned him critical acclaim and a loyal fan base. In essence, the movie version of Wolverine became a reinterpretation, maintaining the core essence of the character while adapting his physicality for the big screen. The height difference was overshadowed by the authenticity and passion Hugh Jackman brought to the role, making his portrayal iconic in its own right. Key differences between comic and movie versions. All right, now let's dive into the meat of the matter, the key differences between Wolverine's comic and movie versions. We'll break it down and see how these distinctions affect the character as a whole. First off, the most obvious difference is physical stature. In the comics, Wolverine's 5'3" frame is a defining characteristic. In contrast, Hugh Jackman's 6'2" portrayal presents a much taller Wolverine. Imagine a comic panel next to a movie still. The height difference is unmistakable. So, how does height affect character dynamics? In the comics, Wolverine's shorter stature often contributes to unique fight choreography. He's depicted as agile, using his low center of gravity to his advantage. He can weave in and out of tight spots, attacking opponents from unexpected angles. In the movies, the fight scenes are adjusted to suit Jackman's taller frame. The choreography leans more towards traditional brawling, mixed with acrobatic movements. His towering presence changes how he interacts with foes. He's more likely to go head-to-head with larger adversaries without the need to compensate for a height disadvantage. The presence and intimidation factor also shift. Comic Wolverine's intimidation comes from his ferocity and unpredictability. He's the little guy you don't want to mess with, a scrappy fighter who's more dangerous than he appears. Movie Wolverine, being taller, naturally commands attention in a different way. His stature adds to his intimidating aura, complementing his feral attributes. When it comes to personality portrayal, there are nuances as well. Comic Wolverine is often gruffer, with a surly demeanor and a chip on his shoulder. His height contributes to his outsider status and sometimes fuels his aggressive tendencies. He's the embodiment of the lone wolf, often struggling with his past and his place among the X-Men. In contrast, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine brings a certain charisma to the role. While still portraying the character's inner turmoil and rough edges, there's an added layer of charm that resonates with audiences. This slight shift makes movie Wolverine more approachable and perhaps a bit more relatable to a wider audience. The storytelling elements influenced by size are also interesting to consider. In the comics, Wolverine's relationships often reflect his status as the underdog. For example, his romantic pursuits sometimes explore themes of unrequited love or being overshadowed by others, partly due to his stature. In the films, those dynamics change. Wolverine's interactions, especially in romantic subplots, don't emphasize any size difference. Instead, the focus is on his emotional barriers and past traumas. Furthermore, the themes of being an outsider or underdog are portrayed differently. Comic Wolverine's struggles are sometimes accentuated by his physical appearance, including his height. Movie Wolverine's outsider status is more about his amnesia and his quest to uncover his past, rather than any physical attributes. So, what impact do these differences have on fan perception and expectations? For some comic purists, the height discrepancy was initially a point of contention. After all, Wolverine's size is a core aspect of his comic identity. However, many fans grew to appreciate Hugh Jackman's portrayal, recognizing that the essence of the character was preserved. The success of the films introduced Wolverine to a new generation of fans, many of whom first encountered him through Jackman's performance. This has led to an interesting blend of expectations, where newer fans may associate Wolverine with a taller stature, while longtime readers hold on to the original depiction. Ultimately, Both versions of Wolverine bring something unique to the table. The comic version stays true to the original vision, a small but fierce warrior with a big attitude. The movie version adapts the character for a different medium, making adjustments to fit the cinematic landscape while maintaining the core characteristics that make Wolverine who he is. In summary, the key differences between the comic and movie Wolverines, especially regarding size, impact not just the physical portrayal, but also the character dynamics, storytelling, and audience perception. It's a testament to the flexibility of the character that he can be interpreted in different ways while still resonating with fans worldwide. Reasons behind the differences. Now let's explore why these differences exist in the first place. What led to the decision to cast a taller actor and alter Wolverine's physical portrayal in the movies? First and foremost, casting decisions and Hollywood norms play a significant role. There's a traditional preference for taller leading men, especially in action roles. When it came time to cast Wolverine, the filmmakers faced the challenge of finding an actor who could embody the character's intensity and complex personality. Enter Hugh Jackman. Interestingly, he wasn't the first choice for the role. Other actors were considered, some of whom were closer to Wolverine's comic book height. However, due to scheduling conflicts and other issues, Jackman was eventually cast, despite being much taller than the character's original description. The filmmakers saw something special in Jackman. His audition showcased not only his acting chops, but also his ability to convey Wolverine's inner turmoil and ferocity. His physicality, while different, brought a new dimension to the character. Practical considerations in filmmaking also played a role. Working with a taller actor can make certain aspects of production smoother. For instance, camera angles, staging, and interactions with other actors can be less complicated when there's less of a height disparity. Adaptation challenges from page to screen are inevitable. The exaggerated visuals of comics don't always translate directly to film. The goal is to create a believable and relatable character within the context of a movie's reality. In Wolverine's case, some adjustments were made to strike that balance. The filmmakers and actors have spoken about these design choices in various interviews. They emphasized their desire to honor the character's essence while making necessary adaptations. Jackman himself was aware of the height difference and worked diligently to capture Wolverine's spirit through his performance. Balancing faithfulness to source material with new interpretations is a delicate task. The changes made were intended to broaden the character's appeal and ensure his stories could be effectively told in a cinematic format while retaining the heart of the original. In the end, the reasons behind the differences boil down to practical and creative decisions aimed at bringing Wolverine to life on the big screen in a way that would resonate with audiences and do justice to the character's legacy. Impact on fans and the franchise. So how did fans react to these changes? Initially, there was some skepticism among die-hard comic book enthusiasts. The height difference was a notable departure from the source material, and some fans worried that it might affect the authenticity of the character. However, once the films were released, many of those concerns were alleviated. Hugh Jackman's performance won over audiences, and his portrayal became synonymous with Wolverine. The controversies and debates gradually faded as fans embraced this new interpretation. Interestingly, the movie portrayal began to influence future comics and media. In some later comic issues and animated series, Wolverine's depiction subtly shifted. While he remained shorter than average, artists occasionally drew him taller and with features resembling Jackman. This cross-influence highlights how adaptations can feed back into the original material. The cultural legacy of the movie version is significant. Jackman's Wolverine helped pave the way for the modern era of superhero cinema. His nuanced performance showed that comic book characters could have depth and complexity, appealing to both fans and general audiences. The character's lasting popularity and continued relevance are testaments to the successful blending of the comic and movie portrayals. Wolverine remains a fan favorite, and discussions about his size differences have become part of the broader conversation about adaptations and character development. In essence, the impact on fans and the franchise has been largely positive. The movies expanded Wolverine's reach, introduced him to new audiences, and solidified his place as a central figure in both the Marvel Universe and popular culture. Well, there you have it. We've taken a deep dive into the real Wolverine, comparing his size in the comics versus the movies. From his short and stocky comic book roots to Hugh Jackman's towering on-screen presence, we've explored how these differences shape the character we know and love. It's fascinating to see how a character can evolve across different mediums while retaining the core elements that make them iconic. Whether you prefer the classic comic portrayal or the cinematic version, there's no denying that Wolverine's impact is immense. At the end of the day, it's not just about height, it's about heart, claws, and that unbreakable spirit. So, what do you think? Do you have a preference between the comic and movie versions? We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more awesome content, and share your opinions in the comments below. Until next time, stay sharp.